Hello fellow Inquisitors, Split Persona here, and welcome back to another Inquisitor Martyr tutorial video. It's been a little while since I've gone and made a video. Took some time for myself, went and took a little break, but I'm back at it again. Today's video, we are going to be covering a little bit of the crafting system. It's a little bit of a complex system, but once you do learn how to do it, it can be very rewarding. Your crafting system is going to be done over here at Omnicron Arc. You get him unlocked once you've completed, I want to say it's between probably 7 and 8 missions of the main story. Once he is unlocked, crafting abilities are available to you. So, we're going to go in here, and we are going to see what he has to offer us. So, the first tab you see here is Salvage. Basically, what that means is pretty much as it sounds. You're going to bring him any of your unwanted junk, and he is going to break it down to its base components. Now, on the side here, you see we have some just basic tabs. Salvage all common, salvage all mastercraft. These are bulk tab buttons. I'm going to hit the one here that says salvage all relic. We're going to hit that. Boom. As you've seen, it consumed the item I had, and it gave me some components. Down here on the bottom left is your resources. This is going to be a list of every component that you have from salvaging and stuff like that. The other way you can get salvage components is by completing certain missions will drop it, as well as void chests will have. There is a void chest at the end of a void crusade that will list salvage resources or crafting resources. Those are the ones you're going to want to get if you are low. But let's say I just wanted to sell him one item. Let's say I wanted to do, say, this one here, where you're going to left click this, and then it's going to highlight it, and it's going to show you what you have a chance of getting. You're going to hit salvage, and then if you look over here, this is what I got. Now, interesting thing to note here. We're going to click this one. If you look here in the center, I have Spark of Glory, Spark of Glory, Spark of Glory. There is a 100% drop chance for each of these. This means I will get 3 of these. There is a 97% chance for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 electro fragments. I have a chance of getting 5 of these at 97%. Let's click on this and see what happens. Still 100% for the Spark of Glory, but I only have a chance of getting 1. Depending on the rarity of the item, will dictate what percentage you have of things dropping. Let's click on this this regular relic item. If you look, my electro fragment is down to just one single one, and it's a chance of 97. So, and instead of a Spark of Glory, I'm getting a Machine God Spark. So, different rarity items will drop different rarities of resources. Keep that in mind when you're going salvaging. Certain things will drop certain items. You're going to need Ancient Mechanisms, Machine God Sparks, and Sparks of Glory. Those three are going to be the big ones. You will always need them. Always keep a steady supply of those on hand. After you get a steady supply of resources, you're going to want to go over here to the crafting menu. Now, in order to do crafting, the way you get these recipes is twofold. You complete missions, and you will either have enemies drop the blueprints for it, or you can go to the store on the ship, and every so often, they will sell the actual blueprints. However, the blueprints from the store are not going to be cheap. They will cost both Caligari credits, and they will cost fate. These are going to be your two biggest resources you are going to want to always have on hand. And trust me when I say early game, you will never have enough of these. So don't be afraid to skip buying something or crafting something in the beginning in order to purchase a blueprint. Because if you can get a blueprint, you can craft that item indefinitely at higher levels. It is better to craft an item repeatedly than to craft something or buy something once. So get the blueprint first, and then you'll be set for later. The other way you can get blueprints is there is a void chest at the end of Void Crusades that will have nothing but blueprints in it. So if you need blueprints, do a Void Crusade and make sure you get the chest for the blueprints. So let's say I wanted to craft something. Well, we have a couple of options on how to go about it. Let's say I wanted to make a piece of armor. When you craft something, it is not going to be class specific. However, it will be level specific. So if you try to craft an item for a different character class that you can transfer back and forth through your vault, your other character may not be able to wear it due to the fact that it is a higher level. Or it may be useless because it's a lower level. Normally, your blueprints are shared between your characters. So keep in mind, you are going to want to make sure that you don't accidentally craft something if you are low on resources for a different class. It will always show up in red text if you are in a different class for it. So, the other thing is you can select the rarity. We have Artificer, Relic, and Archaeotech. We are going to select the Relic class of armor. And we are going to create a Techno Martyr vestment. We're going to hit Craft, and it's done. And if we go back over here to Salvage, we can see right here is our new armor. And that's normally a pretty decent enchantment, actually. not gonna lie, that's actually a pretty decent one. That came out pretty decent. But it could be better. So how do we go about making it better? Well, we're gonna go up here to Modify. Over in here, what we're gonna do is we're going to right-click the item, and it's going to select it. Now, few things you need to notice. You have, when you get it in here, you have reroll enchants, reroll values, or enhance. Reroll enchants is as simple as it says. let's say I like everything except for this heat resist. It's a little, no big deal. I don't really care much for it. Let us get rid of it. And that actually, for a tech adept that's running constructs, that's actually really good. Increased HP for constructs. This will re-roll whatever is in this column. And as you can see, Ancient Mechanism, Machine God Spark, these will always cost one of your 3 main resources. That's why I said always make sure you have a steady supply of these on hand. Once you start going crafting and you start perfecting your armor, it will get extremely expensive, but it will also be well worth it. So, I rolled this. Pretty decent, but let's say I got something that is terrible. Absolutely horrible. The worst thing you could ever imagine. Terrible. Absolutely. And I'm like, I don't want it. I want to change everything on it. We're going to go and we're going to hit reroll all. It'll give you a little pop-up warning, letting you know that you're going to reroll everything. You hit yes. And it changed all of them. It is cheaper to do it this way than to do each individual one. So if you see absolutely nothing that you like, don't be afraid to reroll all enchantments. Or you can try to craft a new one, but to be honest, it is simply cheaper to just re-roll it once or twice. Now, as far as re-rolling values, if we come over here, we have the base attributes. This is the base damage that we do overall. It has a range that it can roll in from 21 to 26. It rolled with a base value of 23. Well, I could go and try to get it a little bit higher, but as of right now, I think that's pretty good. Chance to cause bleeding on physical skill hit. It has a chance of either 10 to 20%. It rolled with an 11. Well, that's just absolutely garbage right there. That's at the low end. I want to go and I want to re-roll that so it's at a higher number. So I'm going to hit the re-roll value and I'm going to hit re-roll value. And I got a 10. So I'm going to try again. This time I got a 12. However, if you look, all of these are grayed out now. That is because when you craft something and you try to modify it like this, you have what's called crafting capacity up here. And you can only modify them so many times. If you go over here to enhance, you have this here, crafting capacity. If I click this, it gives me 5 more abilities and 5 more times that I can modify it in either a reroll of the enchantments or the values. So let's go back over here and we're going to try to get this bleeding up a little bit higher. There we go. We got it to a 16. That I am fine with because that is a lot higher than what it was. If I roll it again, I have the chance of running it too low. This one here, range damage bonus. A 7.3 to an 11%. We are maxed because we are at an 11. Same thing with the melee damage. It's already maxed out at 11. Damage bonus for poison effects. A 44 to an 82%. Well, right now it's at a 50, so let's see if we can't reroll that and we got a 71. So right now, we are going to just leave it right there. And that is how you reroll the values. And like I said, if you looked, we started with 5 crafting capacity, and we're down to 3 after doing 2 of those. So you can only modify it as many times as you have crafting capacity. But you can always add. The other thing that you can do with enhance is you can increase the level of an item. Right now, this item level is 86. Well, if I click this, it'll automatically raise the attributes of the item, meaning that it will make this the equivalency of an 87 level item. So if I click this, it's now an 87. And it boosted everything up just that little bit more. But I can't use this item now, because this item is 1 level higher than I am. So this item, I have to now wait until I level up again. But there are other ways to modify items and make them stronger besides just re-rolling their enchantments. That is going to bring us to forging. If we select the forging tab, we're going to pop in this here. We have socketing. And I'm just going to pull these out just to show. We have what's called socketing here. Some items come equipped with what is, when you look at them, and let's just do it this way so I can actually show it. If you look on the right there at the actual item card, there are little dots that signify that it can be socketed. That's an empty socket. Well, when it's in here, as you can see, I can also increase the number of those. So I'm going to fuse 1 socket in it. It'll give me my little question, and I increase it. However, if you noticed, the Caligari credit price went up if I want to add another one. The more sockets on a weapon, the higher the price will be. So if you have an item with just 1, it won't be real expensive. If you have an item with 5, to add that final 6th slot, it will be extremely expensive. And 6 is the maximum number of sockets you can add to any weapon or armor. Now, what are these good for? These are good for adding psalm codes and shard fragments. Shard fragments are these right here. Relic shards. If we look here, this is a weapon that we're trying to put it into. If we look at this shard, it gives us 3 options. If we put it in an armor, it gives us plus 25% damage reflection back to the attacker. If it goes into a weapon, it gives us plus 50% DOT damage. If it goes into anything else, it's plus 30 suppression regeneration. So if we put this in here, we get the plus 50% damage over time. If we look at this one, if it goes in a weapon, it's a plus 8% chance to apply burn on hit. So we're going to add that too. Now, if we look at the weapon stats now, it had all of its basic enchantments before, but because of the sockets being infused with those shards, the shards now give it additional bonuses and additional strengths. This is key for building a solid build. If you want to survive high-level missions, if you want to be able to deal damage to those enemies that have the higher resistances, this is how you have to do it. You have to have weaponry that is going to be high socket counts with shards and psalm codes in weaponry and your armor and the rest of your gear. You have to do it this way. And this is where you're going to be spending a lot of your resources and a lot of your Caligari credits. So, you know, there's a reason you're saving up so much. Psalm codes are a little bit different. You're not going to be using a psalm code the normal way. If you look at the piece of item I have here, and I'm not going to take these off, but what I have in here are psalm codes. After you get familiar with psalm codes, and they can be extremely confusing, once you get them laid out correctly, they will give you what is known as a psalm doctrine. If you look at the item card on the right, you have up at the top there your standard enchantments. Then below it, there is the bonuses for the psalm codes. But down at the bottom, there is what is known as the Psalm Doctrine. The Psalm Doctrine is a combination of certain psalm codes in sequence. It doesn't work just because I'm throwing a whole bunch of psalm codes on it. They have to be specific ones. Like I said, that is something that is for potentially another video, but it's definitely not this one. Psalm codes are probably going to be your biggest thing over shards once you start getting them. They're a lot harder to get than shards, but they are so much more worth it because they give you not just the bonus of the item itself, but once you build a actual doctrine, it will give you a second bonus on top of that. So that is how shards and psalm codes and socketing work in armor and items and stuff. Then we have shard crafting. If you look here, you have different tiers of shards. And I have level 1s, I have level 2s, level 3s, level 4s, all the way up to a level 5. And each one will get stronger as it goes. In order to craft the next tier, you need 3 of the previous tier. And once you get 3 of the previous tier, you just hit the forge selected shard, and it'll deduct that many Caligari credits from your account and create you a brand new shard. Very simple. Code crafting is a little bit different. In order to craft a psalm code, you need 2 different psalm codes. Psalm codes, like I said, are extremely hard to get. They're not going to be as plentiful in the beginning and even mid-game as shards are. So crafting them is going to be a little bit more tedious. If we look at these only take 1 of each of these. If we look at this one, it's going to take 2 of each of these. This tier, 3 of each of these. This tier, 4 of each of these. In order to craft the higher tier psalm codes, you will be going through a ton of the previous tiers of psalms. It is not an easy process to craft psalm codes. Take it from somebody that has done it a few times in order to complete seasonal objectives, because there is one to obtain one of every psalm code. And I will admit, it is a pain, because there are times you will not get that last one, and in order to get it, you must craft it in order to complete that. And I will say that is potentially one of the harder, maybe not harder, but definitely one of the longest processes of any seasonal objectives, is to obtain all of the code psalms. Crafting, as far as that stuff goes, that is the crafting aspect. Appearance, pretty self-explanatory. You just select an item, and you can select the materials. You can select, different textures. As you can see, his little shoulders are changing. Little aspects are changing. You can change the style. This is where you would customize your actual appearances. I could select my gun, for instance, and I could, change some aspects of that. Very simple stuff. The tech tree. This is where you go to unlock all of the previous options. In order to do this, certain things will only be unlocked in the beginning. The only ones you'll have unlocked is Reforging Protocol and Fusion. Everything else is locked. You will have to go and spend Fate to unlock each and every one of these, and it will take time. The longest part of that is simply getting all of the Fate required to do it. If you have the Fate, it's simple. You just come in, click it, unlock it. Once you get it unlocked, it gives you a bonus to your salvage chance for items, as well as giving you the ability to do certain things. For instance, one of the things you unlock is the ability to remove a psalm code or a shard from an item that you deposited onto something. So if you, say, had a piece of armor and deposited a psalm code or a shard onto it, well, until you got that upgrade, you can't take that off it without completely destroying the items. So you need to get that right here. Yeah. Socket Extraction unlocks the ability to remove psalm codes or archaeotech shards from the sockets. Removed psalms or shards can be used again. So that is actually something you have to unlock in the tech tree. So that is something you need to do. And then this here is Enchantments. This is a list of every known enchantment that you can get. You just select your class, select your enchantment type, and it will tell you what is available. You can even select the item you want. So this is basically just an entire library for everything as far as enchantments. But that there is the entire crafting system simplified, for lack of a better word. There's a lot more minute stuff to it, but again, that is just stuff that it's just stuff with time. The more you get familiar with the game, the more you get familiar with the system, the better you'll get with the whole crafting. It's not easy in the beginning, but like I said, once you get familiar with it, it's not difficult at all. It actually becomes quite fun trying to get those perfect rolls and balancing it and building your Psalm code doctrines to reflect your builds. There are millions of possibilities with socketing items with gems or shards and Psalm codes, and then getting the doctrines on top of those. There is just so many different options you can do with this. But that is going to be it for this episode. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Again, I know it's been a while, and I am glad to be back recording. I do miss it. But hopefully you guys did enjoy that. If you did, hit the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. And I will see you all in the next episode. Have a good day.